Welcome, everyone, to the Spark the Genius show. I'm your host, Spark the Genius, and I'm here to spark the genius within you. And just to update you on what was just happening in our conversation, our special guest, Lynne, was just saying, I was like, should we just start recording? She's like, it's your show. And I'm like, yeah, it is. It is April 28th, 2022, just so you know when it is. And this is a bit of an experiment because... we also have a special co-host, Jay the engineer. It says on his screen there.
Yes, that's what I go by usually.
Yeah, that's a good name. Like Tyler the creator, I'm Spark the genius,
yes.
And we've got Lynne the Bowman.
Lynne the
so
grandma.
Lynne was supposed to.
I'm here as a token grandma.
You are definitely the only grandma in this group. Not to be presumptuous, Jay, but are you a grandmother?
I had one.
Yes. All right. Well,
I'm not a grandmother.
I would think all of us must have at some point.
Yes.
If we were lucky,
mathematically,
yes.
that's how it works.
If we were lucky, we
well
had.
To know, but even if you didn't get to meet them, there must have been. I don't think there's a way to be born without. It works.
Do you know actually that all humankind traces back to one female? You knew that, right?
Really?
I
don't.
know that.
Okay, well now you know. It all traces back to one individual who was a female.
How do you know that?
I read a lot of science.
Well, all right. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. I don't know.
I mean, it is. I mean, so in Chinese, I'm Chinese, and in Chinese legend or whatever type of thing, like when they talk about the creator of the time or creator of the earth or universe, well, it did say that all human being was born out of this goddess.
See,
goddess.
there you are.
Yeah, so it is from.
So maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's like it. They say
And I am
that,
here today, gentlemen,
religion-
representing her.
Yeah.
Okay, don't be intimidated.
All right,
you
so
call
you-
yourself a genius.
No.
Okay, and I think that's a great tone to set here. So I'm here today as
manifesting
a
it.
goddess and Jay as an engineer. I think it's a great combination.
All right, we've got the engineer, the genius, and the goddess.
Yeah.
We're basically like the Avengers.
Yeah, something like
So I should quickly. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing with my podcast, but I should quickly just say what's going on. This is my podcast. I was supposed to interview Lynne yesterday, but for some reason it wasn't my calendar. And she's gonna dazzle us with her knowledge. And then I messaged Jay because he's a producer on my favorite podcast, the James Altucher Show. And I'm always thinking, like, you know what? I just wish there wasn't the James Altucher part of it. I just like the Jay part. So he said he could come and it's a little experiment. I thought, why don't you help me interview Lynne? And that way, because something that Lynne said yesterday when I screwed up, I was like, are you mad? Would you still come on? She's like, I don't have time for mad. Like, but if you're gonna do it because my time is precious. It's all I have, and it's true. And so I thought, even if I interviewed someone different every day for a year, that's only 365 people. But if I can get 2 people on, now it like doubles the time. They get people I get to talk to and get to see.
Yeah. Well, I do have to say I really respect when Lynne said, you don't have time to be mad. Look at the world. Like the world right now, everyone just trying to be mad all the time.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to be time to be mad, it's good because then you can do something productive. But it's very hard to do. Like it's very hard to move on from mad and anger, I think.
But
Yeah,
we really
like I
don't
read
do
some
our
quote
best work when we're mad. We can hardly do any work.
Do we?
really when we're mad?
We don't do our best work when we're mad.
No, we don't. No, you lose brain function when you're mad.
Yeah,
I believe that.
And then you're just so focused on that one thing, you're sort of not able to see the big picture.
Right.
Especially when you work on like creative writing.
It has to do with your
And I
with
guess
your polyvagal system, gentlemen. You've only got so much capacity, and if your body is hijacked by, fight or flight, that means that all of your energy is going to that and not to creativity, not to kindness, not to anything fun. It's just going to, I want to kick his ass. That's all.
Right.
So it's just not a productive place to be.
Yeah, I'm just curious, like, how do you move on from anger and mad. Like for me, like it takes me a while. Like I have to like sit down and watch a show, at least a half an hour show, to either forget about it or be less mad.
Great question,
So
Jay. It's
how do
training
you
a
do
little
it?
bit. And there are certain actually physical things that you can do. There are points on your body. It's like acupuncture points that you could, like in your
Oh,
ears, there's a couple of them where you can learn. And if you look up polyvagal theory, that is, it's your vagus nerve that runs up and down your body, that is at the heart of a lot of this. And we don't have time to completely go there today, but there are physical techniques that you can use that will take you right out of the anger and right back to productivity. There are also distraction. You train yourself to go,
right.
oh, that's not where I want to be, so I need to look elsewhere. I need to quickly divert my attention. Of course, meditation helps a lot of people. If you have ways to get right into your meditation, that will switch all that off and switch the
Right.
brain function back on. And don't we wish that our community and corporate and political leaders had the ability to do that when they needed to, instead of
Oh
bombing the
yeah.
shit out of neighborhood country? Wouldn't that be nice if they could?
Or write on rant on Twitter, right?
Yeah. Well, that's his meditation.
Well, so okay. Sorry, Spark. I have one more question. This might be a stupid question.
No.
Do you think healthy eating or some sort of like thing that you ate or eating habit would help with the anger issues too, or do you think that doesn't matter?
Isn't that your area of specialty, Lynn? Like you write a book about, like, can you quickly like summarize who you are, what your deal is?
Okay, I can't summarize it because I'm a grandma and I've been living a long time and I've done a lot of stuff. But my latest venture is this is my fourth book, and it's called Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them. And it's a kind of simple, actionable, straightforward book that has all the best theory, if you want, of nutrition, but in actionable. Here's how you make it. Here's how you do it. Here's when you eat it. Here's what it looks like. It's very simple, because the truth of the matter is, it is simple. We have something like 88% of this country is breaking itself financially and spiritually and every other way with chronic disease, and it's preventable and reversible. And I am here, in addition to being here representing myself as a goddess, I am here as a type 2 diabetic. And I have been a type 2 diabetic since the 80s. And here I am. I'm fine. Guess why? Because I figured it out. And there was no book written and handed to me. And so I wrote this one, because I want y'all to figure it out. It's the same formula for heart disease, for a lot of kidney problems, for all kinds of chronic disease. If you would just not eat crap, your life would be so much better in so many ways. And also from a geopolitical point of view, if we would stop eating crap, we would be able to regain the topsoil that we've lost. Our environmental, the air would be better. I mean, we'd be improving the earth in so many ways, not just by improving our personalities and looking better and feeling better, but we would stop polluting the holy hell out of everything if we would stop eating crap. It's easy when you think about it that way, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I've undergone sort of a transformation the past couple of months. A woman, I think she was diabetic, and I was on a Zoom call where she was talking about fasting, and that helped her. And then she tried the keto diet, and I thought, okay, I'm going to finally try it. So in December, I tried it. I was around 185.1 pounds in November, and today I cracked 170. I'm like 169.9,
wow.
so like down like 15 pounds, and I'm not hungry all the time, and I'm like, oh, my body actually looks
You
half
will
decent.
feel
And it's
so
like,
much
and it's
better.
100% the diet. Yeah.
Right. And keto can only take you so
Is
far.
Yeah, I mean, technically keto could be I'm just eating bacon and eggs every minute. But you so like is the diet you talk about, is it kind of related to keto, but it's more vegetables or?
Okay, I call it the snarky grandma diet. Are you with me?
Yes.
It
I like.
is it's whole food, plant based. So if you it's you can incorporate a little bit of meat as long as you eat properly sourced meat, not factory farm crappy meat. You can eat virtually any kind of vegetable or fruit as long as it's not in a bag or a box, as long as you're not driving through for it. In fact, if I just told you like three things that I wanted you to do to change your diet, you could vastly improve your health just by one, quitting sugar, two, quitting cow dairy, and
That's almost everything I eat now. It's like Greek yogurt, cheese,
right.
milk. Well, no cream
Right. You
actually.
can still eat some Greek yogurt if it's whole Greek yogurt, full fat Greek yogurt with nothing in it but Greek yogurt. You could have that because
Yeah, I
it's
buy the plain stuff, and it's called double cream, so it's got extra fat because it's the keto version.
okay. But that would be all the dairy I would want to see in your diet. You can eat sheep's milk cheese or goat's milk cheese, but not cow stuff. No cow stuff. And
Right.
if
Well,
you
I do
don't
have to.
believe me, Mr. Sparkster, just try it and give it 3 weeks, and you will call me up and say, I hated you, but then I did what you told me. And now you are a goddess, Lynn, because I feel amazing. That's what I'm going to get from you if you do what I tell you.
All right. Okay, no sugar, no dairy except for like some sheep or goat. And okay, Jay, what was your question before
Oh
we
no,
get to the third?
I just wanted to add a comment. I think the dairy is actually it works because I used to work in a studio. I used to have coffee all the time, and I always have milk. And then one day I just decided, no, I'm just gonna take my coffee black.
And you had sugar
And
too,
then
didn't you, Jay? You
few
had
months later,
sugar and milk, sugar and cream.
no, I never
No
put sugar
sugar?
in my coffee. Yeah, I've been cutting out. I mean, once in a while I still drink soda, but I've been cutting out sugar since I would say like 6-7 years ago.
Okay,
I
no
mean,
more
I still
soda.
sometimes I still eat.
Jay, no soda.
Yeah.
Stop
Right. Yeah.
right now.
I haven't had soda for 3 years now.
Okay.
Okay,
So that was
that's
like
good.
that was back then. That was back then. I still have once in a while, but now it's like I rarely.
Well,
have
which is it?
anything.
I haven't had it for 3 years, or I still have it once in a while. I feel like
Oh no,
you're
no,
on
no!
it.
I haven't had 3 years now. I haven't
Okay.
had it for 3 years now. But back then,
Yeah.
after I cut out the dairies, I still have the soda once in a while.
Right.
But it's just very small amount. It's not like every week. It's maybe like once every 3 to 4 months or something.
Yes, that's not bad. I know people that they'll drink Coke like it's water, like during the
yeah.
day or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, I used to have a friend, a producer, actually drink Diet Coke every day, and then I'm like, you can't do that shit, like that's not healthy.
Oh, I had an
And
art
he's like,
director who drank like he would have like 10 or 12 Diet Coke cans on his desk, like empty cans every day, and he was getting migraines. He was so sick. Like I think he, I don't know
Okay,
if he quit or
gentlemen.
just died. Like,
I
yeah.
want us to talk for a minute about death. I want us to talk about
Oh,
your
no.
death. No, this is important. I want you to tell me how you want to die and when.
Can I choose not dying?
No, you can't,
I
honey.
don't think
Sorry.
I didn't. I don't think dying is what I think dying is what's the word like it's not avoidable. Like people dies or has
You're
to
going to
someday.
die. And so the question is
I
when
yeah.
and how. And the reason I'm asking you is
Well,
because particularly you
yeah.
men, you all think you're going to go out in flames. Whenever you imagine your own death, you think it's going to be in a car wreck or jumping off a bridge or out of an airplane or, something really dramatic and final and so on. And I am here to tell you, as a goddess, that that's not how it's going to happen to you. You're going to have a slow, ugly, dependent death if you don't mend your ways.
I'm planning to get crushed in a big orgy. But yeah,
You see?
I see what you're
That's
saying.
what I figured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But I haven't had sex in 10 years, so it's not looking good. I'll probably get hit by a bus
That is not
or
going to keep
waste away,
you
like you're saying.
alive. Not having sex does not keep you alive, by the way. Sorry.
No, I realize that, and I also realize it doesn't make life fun to not have it. See, the thing is, I broke up with all my girlfriends because I thought, I don't want to sleep with just one woman for the rest of my life. I didn't realize the alternative was to sleep with no women for the rest of my life. It would have been nice to have a wife. So, Jay, don't make my mistake. Just
It doesn't have to be
did
woman,
Did you
Sure,
check
at this
with
point,
me?
it does not.
You did not check with me.
No, I did
clearly.
not consult. I did not consult.
No. And
Part
Jay,
of the
you
problem
haven't
was I
either.
didn't know you until 5 minutes ago.
Well, you see.
I had. Yeah, I have. I mean, like that was. I mean, I didn't have an active sexual life, but I have.
You had a partly.
I have.
He's,
partly.
compared to me, yes, very active.
Okay, do you
I don't
see
know
what you
we're
guys have done? You immediately took the subject from death to sex. Sweet and funny because
because
you're
I
right.
don't want to
expect
live.
this kind of
I don't
thing.
want to think about death at all. The only thing that gives me hope is Jay when he was on the like him and James were interviewing, I guess, Tony Robbins about their Life Force book, and they were saying there's some experts that think in 12 years we'll hit escape velocity, where they'll be able to reverse your age longer than the time you're living. Like, you'll be able to extend life by a year and a half for every year you live,
Okay,
and then maybe
but
you'll
I
never die.
can
And that's the only thing that gives me hope. Otherwise, I
guarantee-
can't cope.
I can guarantee that it will not be by eating crap. That's not how they're going to do it. If you're going to extend your life,
That's
No,
why.
yeah.
yeah, it has to be with vegetables. Sorry.
Right.
Okay.
Well, see, you guys talk about like I know Sparky talk about extended life. I was I was there during the interview. Like during the whole interview, it was a great interview. But I have been asking myself, do I want to live that long?
Yes, you do.
I don't know if I want to live that long. Like,
Okay,
if
Jay,
I
what
manage
you really
to
wanna
achieve
know
everything
is-
I want to achieve.
Do I want to live that long without sex? That's what I kind of hear you saying. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Hey, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty important. It has to be active. But for me, it's like if I have achieved everything in my life, and I have a good family, and my, my son, my great grandson, or whatever have like great future. I don't know if I want to, keep staying on the earth, like taking up space. If I'm not contributing anything.
Yeah,
If I
wha-
contribute anything, then yeah, I will want to be as long as possible. If I can, help change the world in a way. But if not, I rather pass the baton to someone else.
Well, that's very generous. I'm not that generous. I'm very selfish. But I think part of my problem is that I didn't follow the proper life. Like, I had an amazing girlfriend when I was 18 and in my 20s and even in my 30s. And when I turned 40, I broke up with my last girlfriend. And I'm like, oh, crap. It didn't occur to me that if I wanted to live like even the same pattern as my parents, I would have to have a kid at 25. And then now at this age, I would now have a grandkid. And then I'd feel like I had a normal life. But I feel like I haven't even started.
To live the same pattern as your parents.
Because it's comforting. Now I realize, I always thought, no, I need to get rich and famous. I got to go to Hollywood. Now I'm like, no, if I had kids now, that's all that matters. The comfort of a wife and children. I'd have grandkids. I'd have my own little
Okay,
army.
you're talking like a man that's giving it all up. I married my husband when I was 42. He was 31.
Oh.
If he were in the room, I would hope he would agree. We're still happily married. We were married in '89. It was not my first try, but you know what? It's by far the best. And my daughter, my youngest, just had her first baby at the age of 43. She married for the first time at the age of 42. She's gorgeous, by the way, and super fun.
Well, tell her I say hello. Although I guess she's married. But anyways.
And I say that because that's how we're doing it now. The girls are not marrying when they're 22. I mean, you've seen the statistics. Right. The age of marriage has gone way, way up. And
I know, and I think the problem is people don't know. Like if somebody had sat me down and explained, listen, you think it's fun being on Tinder, you think you're having fun. No, in 20 years you're going to feel like, oh my God, why didn't I settle down and start a family?
So nobody ever said
And
anything to you?
no, like okay, there was one. I broke up with Jan when I was like 25, and my mom said, "No, marry Jan." I'm like, "Nah, I already broke up with her." And that was basically it. But I wish somebody older had said, listen, I know you feel like, oh, you're always looking for something better. There's nothing better. This person loves you. It's very hard to find someone. Even if you had kids with them right now, you wouldn't have a kid for 9 months. And then you wouldn't be able to talk to them for 10 years. Like, it is not a fun life. And you could still do stuff. Like, even with kids,
Right.
you could do comedy. You could make comedy with the kids. You could still, you could be swingers if you
So
want. You could bring in other women.
talking like a man who is beyond hope for having a lot. I mean, you're a kid. You're a young guy. Get out of here. Come on. And plus,
I know it's all
you
right.
are not nearly the dweeb that you were when you were in your 20s. I'm willing to bet that you have a lot of wisdom and skill and knowledge, and you would be much more appreciative of a fantastic wife and love life now than you would have been then.
Yeah, I think
Come
so.
on.
I've been trying to look up this therapist. My last girlfriend sent me to this therapist when I was like 38, and to figure out why I couldn't commit. And the woman, she was like a sexy French woman. She's like, she wasn't smoking, but I'll act it out smoking. She was like, why don't you think about going on LinkedIn and networking for your business, and maybe that would give you the same pleasure you get from like meeting new girls all the time on dating apps. And I was like, nah, I don't know. But now I realize. And also, I was complaining. Even then, I was like, I'm too old to do anything. She's like, what? No, I don't want, unless you're 90 or 100, I don't want to hear anything about, oh, I'm too old to do stuff. And now I'm like, this was like 12 years ago. What the hell? I could have done anything back then. But at the time, you think you're too old. I had a meltdown when I was 36. Oh, it's too old to do anything. And now I'm like, what? It's
Okay, but what
You can pretty much create a
do,
podcast when you're 50.
what you do need to do is take better care of yourself now. You need to stop acting like you're immortal. You need to really give yourself some love and attention and make yourself healthy and vital in a way that you weren't able to do 10 years ago or 15 years ago because you were a dweeb. Because all men in their 20s.
I mean, I am.
Dweebs. What?
Oh, I'm learning that, yeah. But I also, even when in my 30s, I was researching resveratrol. Like, I've always been concerned. You know what? I found my old diary that I did when I was 14, and the first page is like, I'm afraid of getting old. I don't want wrinkles. I don't want my family to die. And I was reading it to my sister. She's like, it sounds like you wrote that, like, today. I mean, I was 14 and I was still concerned about it. But I've always been researching like anti-aging stuff, and recently, like, I've been doing an hour jog every morning, and then I do apple cider vinegar with all the healthy spices, and then I do bulletproof coffee with matcha.
Oh,
like,
right.
Like, I'm trying to take.
You've been watching a lot of those podcasts about that stuff.
I've been
What's
I've been
his
listening
name?
to Jay's
Matt
podcast
Breed,
and
the
Tony Robbins.
Bulletproof guy?
Yeah, I mean, I
Dave
haven't heard
Asprey.
those, but I watch all the YouTube videos about keto and bulletproof and
Right.
any of this anti-aging stuff. I'm like, I'll do it. Like, my plan with this podcast, so I become a billionaire, and then I can go do the Tony Robbins $10,000
Okay.
cancer test, and
But no. You are going to do anything that
sell stuff.
involves drinking coffee full of fat or drinking red wine full of resveratrol. That's what you're going to do. What you're not going to do. Oh, but I'm happy to hear you running in the morning. That's good. But it's discipline that you have to do all the time, every day. And it's not bad. It's not icky stuff, but it's just the discipline of being a grown-up, honey. Grown-up life.
yeah.
And
No, I
if
know.
you're
I'm
going to
inspired like
even
Dean
think
Graziosi. I
about
look at
being
him.
a
Yeah.
parent, if you're going to think about being a parent, start by being a parent to yourself. Do the stuff with yourself that you would expect to do with a kid. That's like, okay, you got to eat some good stuff, honey, and you got to get some good sleep, and you have to get exercise every day.
Oh, that's true.
Come on.
I'm trying. I've been staying up too late for my whole life. Like, every night but I try to go to bed at 9. Like, that's my plan. I never do it, but I'm like, I know I need the sleep. I know I need to do all the things right.
Okay, what
Dean
did you just
Graziosi,
say?
he's like a Tony Robbins guy, and
What did you just say? You
I know
said,
I should.
I'll try it. I know I should, but I'll never. What did you say? Jay, you're my witness. Come on. What did he say?
I never
Yeah,
do it.
she's
I know,
like,
because even last night I went to bed at 1:30 because I was like, oh, I got to post some
1:30,
photos on
whoa.
Instagram first.
I mean, like, I'm 33 right now. Like, I even
God.
go to bed at like 11 o'clock latest.
That's good. Yeah, 11's not
yeah.
bad. Like, whatever
Yeah,
works for you, but it has
yeah.
to be before midnight.
'Cause for me, I have like a alarm reminder on my phone, like it has to go to bed like by like latest by midnight, and then I usually wake up at like 7 or 8 and walk my dog
Yeah, that's a good
for
routine.
an
Jay's
hour.
doing it right.
He's not getting enough sleep.
Almost there.
He's not getting high quality sleep. He's sleeping with his electronics right
I
by his
read
bed.
that the hell. Yeah,
Aren't you, Jay?
Oh no, my electronic is pretty far.
it's what?
Like I like my electronic is pretty far. It's just that like when I'm like doing stuff,
Is
like
your room
downstairs,
really
like
dark?
it will remind me,
Really
hey, I have
dark?
to. Oh
Really
yeah,
dark?
yeah. My
And
room
quiet?
is really dark.
And is
Oh,
your
I'm obsessed.
blanket?
My room doesn't have windows. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my blanket is heavy. I love sleeping in a heavy blanket. And it's
Are
dark
you going
because
to bed,
New York
Jay? Are you
City
going to
apartment.
bed at least 3 or 4 hours after the last bite of food?
Oh,
Yes.
that's so crucial. I know
Yes.
I have to do that. Yeah, absolutely. But then sometimes I forget to eat dinner and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry and eat at 10 o'clock. And then I've got acid reflux and I feel like crap.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's
Okay.
the worst.
And you want to be a parent? Look at
Oh,
what you're
no.
doing to yourself.
Well,
This is not parent
I
material,
gotta
honey.
take care
No.
of. What?
You-
Really?
you-
There's got to be worse than me.
Well, yes, but let's not go there. Let's talk about how
Right.
we're going to take care of ourselves. Sparky, honey.
Yeah, you're right. You got to put on your oxygen mask before everybody else, kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And the only
you know,
person you can control is yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm 76, okay? And I'm hollering at you, and you're talking about aging and how scared and so on. Who in this panel should be afraid of aging? You? You?
Well,
Get out
Sorry,
of here.
Lynn, I have to say, you didn't look like 76 at all. I'm sorry. You didn't look like 76 at all. You look like 50. I'm sorry.
Well, this is what 76 looks like with some decent lighting and some makeup. A little bit of chicane. But if it's a lifetime, and in my case, because I knew I was diabetic and so on, I've always, as an adult, been pretty damn careful. Since the 60s, okay, I stopped smoking in the 80s, like everybody with any brains did. And I've always eaten well, and I've always prepared food because I had to, because if you were diabetic and you were going to survive, you had to. And so I have a jump on the game because of that. But that's why I'm here nagging you and hollering at you guys. And here you are whining about being old and decrepit and come on. Stop.
yeah. No, I mean, 'cause I've seen it. Like I know, like my parents are around your age, just and I seen the difference. My mom at 50, she was like, "Oh, I'm kind of depressed and menopause." She wrote an article about it, and she decided, "I'm going to start running." And then she started running marathons, and she's doing one this weekend.
Good for
And
her.
but my dad, I don't want to bash him, but he's not the exercise type, and it's kind of the opposite. So you kind of
Okay.
you get
Okay. Not
it's
the
definitely all about
exercise
yeah.
type. What is the exercise type? Somebody who wants to breathe? I mean, what does it take to be an
All
exercise?
right, not the type. He, exercising, I guess. I don't mean. Yeah, no, I wasn't giving the cop out that. Oh well, I'm not the exercise type. I'm just saying he doesn't do it the same. And then I've seen that. I think a lot of people complain like, oh, aging, it just sucks. I'm like, your behavior, like your activity and your nutrition and all of that affects how you like it affects it. Like you can't get. I mean, I was chubby at 12 and 13, so it's not even about age. Like if you don't take care of yourself or you're eating too much, you're not exercising enough. It's not great. I mean, you could be a very unhealthy 20-year-old. So I think. I mean, I follow a lot of. Like older people online that are super fit and doing amazing things. So I like to think that if you just follow the proper things, you can still be vibrant and healthy. I mean, you look like you're having a lot of fun, having a great life. And I keep going, oh my God, like I'm terrified of turning 50 and I'm like, I won't be able to do anything anymore. But
You won't be able to talk
you're
into a
an inspiration.
microphone anymore? Like do what?
I don't know.
What are-
I keep thinking of like, okay, so a few years ago, I met this woman in New York, and I went like online, and I went down to meet her in Mexico, and she was in Tulum, and we went to a cenote, like those little I guess a pond in the middle of the jungle or something. We jumped in and stuff, and then I'm like, now that I'm older, could I do that? Could I just say, like, just do something that, I'm just going to jump into the cenote and swim underwater? Like, I want to be able to do physical things. And I picture, well, Tom Cruise is 60. He would do it. So I kind of focus on him and go, yeah, I just want to be able to do anything. Like, I went to Costa Rica and I was whitewater rafting.
You don't think Tom Cruise works at it a little bit?
Oh, I know he does. But I just want to know that if I work at it, it's possible. I'm sure he works out every day and he's got the best healthcare. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think you need to find a therapist that you can talk to about why.
I've been trying to find that French woman again, but I can't remember her name.
About why you
It has
have
to be French.
a fear of, well, I could pretend for a little while if you want me to, darling. But
I didn't mean, I just wanted that woman because I thought that way I'd be reconnecting with my past and I can come back 12 years later and say, you were right, I should have stayed with her. And she's like, I told you, you're an idiot. Now she's got kids and you have nothing. I'm like, thank you. You're not, this is how I picture being beaten up by a therapist.
But I felt like you shouldn't be dwelling at the past.
You can't.
You've been, I felt like you've been looking at, like, not that I'm giving any advice. I'm pretty sure I have in no place to get advice here. Yeah. But I felt like, if you keep looking at the past, you just can't move forward. You can look at the past to study them, what you make mistake and learn, and then you just have to keep forward. At least that's why I think.
And there's no point. And the thing is, too, like, I'm idealizing, like, I'm imagining this perfect past where I had married one of these girls, we had perfect kids, I had the perfect life, but anything could happen. I saw somebody, he was either on Facebook or LinkedIn, I think it was LinkedIn today, saying, I met my perfect girl, I'm 26, 25, I finally fell in love, and then yesterday she got hit by a bus and she was pregnant with our daughter or something. So you don't know what tragedy might have happened. Like, it's, and you just did the best with the information you had, and that's all you can do. I had a friend who, at 46, he finally met a 26-year-old. They got married, had a couple of kids, and then at 52, he died of cancer. So, actually, that doesn't help my happiness. But at least I don't know.
At least he probably lived like a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
Until then.
Yeah, and he did. He was so happy. He bought a farm. He moved away from the city. He finally like, why didn't I settle down like all this time ago? And he did it. So. And people keep, messaging me like, well, Richard Gere had a kid at 67 or all this stuff. But whatever, you just got to, whatever your path is, that's,
right.
I mean, there's no point. I mean, as much as I want to change the past, that seems to be the one thing I can't do. So.
Yeah, I feel like the 50 is the new 20s now.
Yes, thank you, Jay. We'll see what you think in 27 years or have 17 years? Only 17.
17 years,
I'm good at math, yeah.
Yeah.
But we've got Lynne as our life coach now.
I'm right
great
here for
advice.
you, gentlemen.
So can I ask you, Lynne? Like, when did you have? Oh, I guess I could do the math here because you told us how old you are and how old your daughter is. But like when you met the husband, or
I had my kids in the 70s. So I was 29 when my first was born, my son. I had been told I couldn't have kids, so I didn't think I was thrilled that I was able to do that. And they were born in quick succession. So they were born in 77 and 78. So 75, 77, 78. And then when they were 2, 3, and 4, I had to basically run for my life with the 3 of them. I got on a train with them with what we could carry and went from North Carolina to California. I had married a guy who had been a Marine in Vietnam and had done a couple tours, some hard duty. And like a lot of the guys in those
Rambo?
times, what's that?
Rambo.
Well,
Anyways,
there were a lot of stories that came out of that time, but he was one of those guys who changed his clothes on the plane and never looked back. And then, and so when I married him, he was a banker in a 3-piece suit. And then very quickly, in the next few months, and 2, 3 years, he just unraveled and he became violent and addicted. And I knew that we wouldn't survive if we stayed. So I had to run, and he followed me and stalked me and ended up taking his own life. So, well, the good news was that he didn't kill me and the kids. And so I felt like the decisions had been not happy ones, but You know, if you've read about such things, that more of the vets have died of their own hand than died in the war in Vietnam.
Right. Right.
So I don't mind talking about it because I think it's something that we need to be aware of. And here we are again, right?
Yeah. So I mean,
So
that's good.
it's a
Okay. Well,
thing
that
called,
answers my question.
all right. Your question seems to be about, what happened that you didn't get to live this ideal life? What happened that these fabulous women, escaped? You didn't. Well, the truth of the matter is, life can be a bitch, honey. It doesn't matter when, or I mean, none of us get out of here without some scars. None of us get through without some stuff happening, and some of it is pretty spooky and difficult. But and having kids is a huge challenge. But it doesn't mean you don't want to do it, you know. And tons of men don't start families until they're in their late 40s, 50s, 60s. Very common.
Oh,
And
I've been Googling it. Yeah, I mean, I just got all the celebrity message. Like people are like, oh, Steve Martin, and then I was Googling when did George Clooney have his kid at 53, and there was an article on the AARP website about it where I saw it, and they were like, most men, they're a bit slower than women to realize, oh my God, I'm mortal, but then they
if you
eventually get there and they freak out.
if you
Sorry,
ask
go
a
ahead,
lot
Lynn.
of women, myself included, will tell you that most guys aren't grown up until they're in their 50s or 60s. Um,
I
you
think so,
know,
and I
you,
think that's what happened to my friend who passed away too. It's kind of like, oh, you still think, oh, I'm playing around, whatever, and then just one day it hits you. It's like, this is not fun. I can't go to bars. I want one special woman, and I'm glad some men seem to get it younger. Like if you look at all the One Direction or the Jonas Brothers, they could have any woman in the world, and they settled down. They picked a woman and said, this is it. I'm starting a family, and I'm like, oh, if they, if the One Direction guys are like, yeah, you know what, I think I'll get married. Who the hell was I to think, no, I'm going to be a player? Like, it's just ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know. For me, like, I mean, like, I don't have a girlfriend anymore. For me, I haven't settled down yet. Mainly it's because I felt like, which I don't think it's right. I felt like I need to have some sort of financial stability before I want to settle down.
That's the mistake. I'm sure Lynn has thoughts,
Right.
but I always thought, you know what? No, no, no. I got to get rich first, then I can take advantage. But
Oh,
you realize that money can come and go, but you can never buy back that time. Like,
right.
like what if you get rich? Like, what if I got rich now? It's like, but I could have had kids and grandkids
Right.
already.
well, in my case, my husband was an entrepreneur. He's an engineer, an inventor. And when we married, I was the one with the mortgage, the house, the big career, the established income, all that. He was the one who was just starting a brand new business, didn't know how it was going to go. Um, and that was okay. What was wrong with that? He was enough of a
Yeah.
man that it
None
didn't
of.
threaten him that his wife was paying the bills at that time.
I never understand. All these women complain like, "Oh, I intimidate men.
Right.
They don't want a woman who makes her own money." Maybe there's really men that exist like that. I can't imagine it. I'd be like, "Please make more money than me." Like I don't understand these men that are like, "Oh, I don't want to wife." But that's good that he. Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, I'm not all men, so I'm sure people are different than me.
Oh, I think Spark, you're cutting in and out a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Lynn's. You're all cutting out, but I think it's going to be okay because it's down. Like the system
Right.
is recording on your end, and then it'll upload. So hopefully you
Right.
guys can all hear me.
Well, but
Can
also
hear
in
you.
the, I mean, back to that. Oh, sorry, back to that. There's also a Chinese saying, in Chinese, it's everything will fall in place when you have kids. It's I don't know why, but there's a Chinese saying say that like if you have a wife and a kid, and then your career will actually propel for some reason.
Makes sense because then you have a
Well, I
purpose,
think
and I realize now it would have. Sorry, here I'll
you
just finish quick. I was going to say okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, there's no motivator quite like a 6-month-old child. I mean, it becomes really real really quick that there are people now depending on you to perform, to do something, to pay attention to what really matters. And there is no love quite like that. Both the way your love changes with your partner when you have kids, and the way you learn to love when you have this little person who thinks you are the world. I mean, there's just nothing quite like it. But you need to be grown up enough to take on that role, and many people are not. It doesn't work out for everyone. And women have a way of becoming more demanding, because they have to, because now they've got these little people.
Right.
And so they expect more of their spouse, and they have to communicate with you perhaps in a more direct way, and so on. And so what you hear over and over again from couples is that first year with the new baby is, whoa, game changer. I mean, tough year. Not only you are parents, but you are in a different relationship completely once you become parents. And some people don't get through it. It's not for wimps, man. It's not.
No.
Well, so I'm just curious, Lynn. If you don't mind me asking, what changes you the most when you have your first son?
What changes you the most?
Yeah.
What changed you? Oh, wait, video been
Explain
disabled.
your question.
Yeah,
Explain your
Video's still being
question.
recorded. Okay.
So like when you had your son, like emotionally or attitude or in any way, it's like some sort of like switch, or like, oh, now I have this baby, and then you're like sort of just changes your personality or the way you do things and stuff like that, or your mindset.
Well, of course, it's different for a lot of people. I was so happy, Jay,
Right.
to have this child. I was beside myself.
Mm-hmm.
This was the second coming. This was the most perfect child ever born, and then it didn't hurt matters that he never cried, and he was really good natured, and he was big and healthy, and all these things. So I just felt like the luckiest girl alive every day to have this wonderful, healthy baby that I never thought I would have or could have. And when you have a child who looks at you and reaches for you the way a child looks at you and reaches for you, that's a kind of love that you don't experience until you have a child. I mean, it's very animal. It's very, you become, you realize that you are part of the system. You're part of the universe and nature. You suddenly feel plugged in a really interesting way.
Right.
And like you belong, like what you're doing matters because of this little person.
Right.
And
It just
in
sounds
my
so
case, and then I had two more little people who also happened to be fabulous and perfect. And so then it became, I didn't have time to think a lot about it, because it just became for me a matter of trying to keep them alive and keep myself alive. But and I was never crazy about babies, but I didn't expect my children to be so fun, to be so cool. That everything they did, I just thought was
Right.
fantastic. They were just these great little people.
See,
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
I'm
amazing.
not sure if I'm answering your
I-
question.
yeah, you did, because like a lot of time, like you said, like like when you have kids, people change, like your nature change. That definitely answered my questions. But one more question for you. I don't know if you have heard this. Like a lot of time, when I go on like dates or go on like online dating or whatever, a lot of the women that I've met say, I don't want kids ever. Do you have anything to say to that? I mean, it seems like you love kids so much. I'm just curious.
I do have something to say to that, because this is the first generation in history, or second, who had that option. Women never had that option. I was in high school when the pill came to be, and so I'm part of the first cohort of women who sort of had a choice not to have children. But when you think about it, all of society, all of every civilization on Earth was set up for females to do the procreation, the work of procreation, for females to give their lives to the enterprise of making babies. We didn't have a choice. Now women have a choice. And what you see statistically is wherever women have the choice, and still there are many places in the world, as you know, where they don't. Louisiana, Texas, but a little joke there. And it's not so funny.
Yeah.
But in the parts of the world where women can't choose, they are still having babies at the same rate they've always had. In the parts of the world where they can choose, the birth rate has dropped like a hot rock. Because think about it, and you've met women now, and you know, if you were really making a conscious choice, do I want to put myself behind my needs, behind those of these small people that I've never met and I don't even know who they are and I don't know what I'm getting? And they're going to be number one. They're going to be more important than me. They're going to get the food first. They're going to get shelter. They're going to get educated. They're going to get pulled out from the butt. Everything is going to be about them. Really? That's a very big conscious choice. And it's quite a commitment. And you probably know a lot of people who can't commit to dinner, right? They can't commit to working out the next morning.
I have a,
I think there'll be, if I could reach out to the people listening who feel the way you are, I understand that, especially if you're an attractive woman and like you could get anything you want from men, why not go around? But it goes away, and then you will be hit with this feeling that, oh my God, I'm alone. I don't have a team around me. I don't have kids to do things with. What is the purpose of my life? And by that point, it might be too late. And even if you physically can, you'll be like, oh my God, I missed out on 20 years of this. So I don't know. But on the other hand, there's people who didn't have kids and they really don't and they're happy. So, I mean, that's fine. Obviously I'm in the boat where I just regret it. I just wish I had known.
Some of the oldest people in the world, they're all women, by the way, and
I just read
have
about
never
that.
had children. Having children takes a toll. It's work.
Everybody says it's worth it, though. Everybody says it's so worth it, and I would never give it up for anything.
Well, that's me. I mean, it was
but I guess,
it was my choice. I wanted to do it. And what was that you said about women? Attractive women can get whatever they want. What was the language there around that? They can get whatever.
Well, I was saying, and it even applies to men, and I wasn't even that good looking, but as a younger person, you can be swiping through Tinder. You could always be meeting someone. It's exciting. You feel like you have this power, that there's people always hitting on you. So why would you want to settle down? Like, I get it.
I want to point out to you,
like George Clooney.
that Tinder effect is only a few years old. People have only been doing that since what year? You can probably tell me. I mean, it's very new. That's not the way we did.
Yeah, it's only 10 years ago. Not even. No, but even me. I mean, I was around before the internet. I broke up with girls before the internet. Like, I still felt like you just feel like you're immortal, and like it's just fun, and fun is exciting. I don't know. It used to be like biologically, I think this maybe was on the James Altucher show. Like, you would have a kid at 15, and then at 15, in 15 years, your kid would have a kid, and now that's why we age, because the evolution was like, well, we don't need you after 30. Like, you're just stealing resources now. So. We forget kind of what we're naturally biologically built to do.
Do you understand about the grandmother theories about why we now get that postmenopausal women have a value to society? Have you done any of the reading about that? Whales, stuff like that? Have you?
Nope.
Okay, well then, here as your guest, resident goddess today, I'm going to tell you
Yes.
that science, incredibly, has discovered that women have a value post menopause. Isn't that something? And that value,
Really?
I know, it's crazy, but bear with me. The value is reflected in nature, in, for example, whales. The only whales who know where the best hunting grounds are and know how to get up on the beach to grab the seal and eat it are the grandma whales, because it takes a long time to learn those techniques. So the whales who teach the youngest ones to hunt and to find prey and so on are the grandma whales, because they're not busy having babies. They're busy teaching.
Right.
Right.
So
That makes
think
sense. Because, yeah,
about
if you're
it,
raising a 1-year-old, you can't be. Yeah, okay.
right?
I mean, yeah, I was raised by my grandma too. So like my grandma and grandpa teach me everything, but practically my grandma teach me everything that I know.
Yeah,
There
and
you
that's what
go.
makes me so sad, too. Like, even if I had a kid today, maybe I wouldn't be a grandfather for 25, 30, or ever. And it's like now I've aged myself out of that. Anyways, this is just my pity party, but yeah, so that's good. It gives me hope because I keep wondering, like, they say, oh, it used to be nobody would live past 22, like in the Middle Ages, and I'm like, so am I even supposed to be alive? Like, I should have, like, what am I,
Well, and
what
that's
am I
been
doing here? Like,
debunked.
I'm on.
That's been debunked as well. There were lots of
Okay.
old people back in the day. Women.
Oh, good. Yeah,
Just-
I keep picturing like it's Logan's Run. Like it's like, why am I past 30 or whatever? Yeah, they were all women. Yeah, exactly. I think
Right. Right.
men stress themselves out or get hit by a bus. I don't know.
Or fight. Right.
Or fight.
Women
Yeah,
have a different
exactly.
way
But
of fighting.
I think we're not. I mean, part of it is men when their fat is deposited around their gut, which is bad for your heart, and maybe maybe testosterone ages us faster. Maybe women are more zen. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I was just reading because like the oldest woman in the world died like this week or something at 118,
Oh, yeah,
119, and they were saying like
it?
9 out of the 10 or 9 out of 10 like people over 100 are, and there's thousands of them now, but they're all they're women.
They're skinny
Well,
women.
yeah, and it's
They're
Japanese women.
skinny
It's all
women.
Japanese, skinny Japanese women.
Yeah, I always have a theory like why Japanese always live so long. It's because of the green tea.
Maybe that's why I'm putting matcha in my bulletproof coffee every day. I wonder if that's it. Like, they say there's the blue zone in Japan where everybody sort of
Yeah.
does well. And then they're all 100 and they're still doing stuff. And I feel like at my age, I can't have a garden. But they're like, no, I'm just going off and skateboarding or whatever. I've got to get that mentality. If I could just get that out of my head that I can't do anything. Like, I try to find people on Instagram. There's this guy, Giancarlo, this multi-millionaire Italian guy, and he's like in his 50s. It looks like he's got a new kid, and he's always skateboarding and in the pool. I'm like, if I could just have $300 million like him, I could be partying it up. I don't know. Yeah, this is like sort of an insight into my mind. I need to get off Instagram is probably part of it because,
Yeah,
like you just
you
it's all
do.
young people. Like I was just looking at the stats. Everybody's like 75% of people are like 18 to 24 on that site. That's not real life. Like you need to just be in the world and talk to people. That's why I try hard to find people sort of my age to talk to and do things with. I go, oh yeah, you're still out there doing stuff. Because younger people go, like, you're an old person. Like, why would it? When I was 18, I thought, oh my God, in the year 2000, I'm going to be 27. I'll be too old to do anything for New Year's. I won't be able to have fun. It's like,
Okay.
what?
Okay. Do you
so,
dance? Do you dance?
I like to, well, no. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Okay, that's a no.
TikTok
Okay.
dance.
Do you sing?
I like to sing here. I usually start off my podcast with a song. So since you mentioned it, I'll do that right now. I'll improvise
right.
a song.
Are you going to
all
sing
right.
us out?
Welcome to the Spark. Well, I guess if we're ending, yeah. Well, it'll be a little. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Welcome to the Spark, the Genius Show. Today it's a special treat. We've got a co-host, Jay the Engineer, and a goddess who can't be beat. So it's kind of a combo show. You're getting 3 times the fun right now. Our goddess grandma's teaching us to stop having a cow. Which has double meaning, like don't eat too much meat and also stop stressing out. That was pretty good.
That was brilliant.
I wrote that 10
You're
years
a
ago. I didn't understand the
lyricist.
lyrics, and now I
That
get
was
it.
amazing. Yeah.
Yes,
That was
I know.
great.
That was
Yeah.
so. There we go. So I sang. Yeah. So I still want to be young. I still want to have fun. I still want to do stuff, and
And I
and I
want
don't
that
want
for
to
you.
feel like, oh,
I want that for you. I want you to start doing fun stuff. And I want you to start doing it for someone other than yourself. I want I want you to find some way to do something for someone else.
I've been doing stand-up comedy lately. I did an act last night, and I made everybody laugh. Like, it gives me
It's
great
not for
joy. So I'm
someone
still,
else.
well, who, what? I don't have, what? I'm doing stuff. I take care of my sister. I take,
You
it's like
do?
I'm always, yeah, like she's got a disease, and I help her out,
Okay, great.
and I've been walking dogs. I carry a milk bone with me. I gave it to a dog on the street the other day because I
There
was
you
like,
go.
hey, I carry this for just such emergencies. I want to help the world, and I kind of wish I was a parent and a teacher. Like, that's all I want. Like, this is all the podcast is. Like, if I could just help people by, I don't know, helping them not make my mistakes or something.
I think.
I don't know.
Okay, I think there's a cliche. I always tell this to myself, and I always hear people say it. It's the best way to help the world is to help yourself first.
That's what they say. Like, put on your oxygen mask
Yeah.
first. But on the other hand, if you're helping other people, that makes you feel better. They say, like, if you're depressed, go volunteer at a homeless shelter, or whatever, or help the poor, or do something.
Or-
I think Tony Robbins says it all. That like go, yeah, or
Right. But you know what I'm feeling for you? I'm thinking you need to be working with children. You need to do some kind of a little thing. You need to do a puppet show. You need to do, okay, hear me out.
No.
You have a wonderful talent. You make up funny songs. There are some 6-year-olds who would adore you for that. And they're a great
it's been my
audience.
whole life. Like, yeah, like when I was 20, I lived across from a library. I'm like, I should go volunteer to read stories to the kids, and I never did it. But then, I was working at a summer camp for a bit, like a day camp, and I just sort of acted out funny silhouettes for the kids, and I realize now they're all 30. And then a few years ago, I was Zooming with a friend, and she had her kid or a couple of her niece and nephew or something, and I was like playing with puppets, and they were laughing. And then even playing with my niece and nephew, it's like the greatest joy, and that's what makes me so
Okay.
sad. It's like, why don't I have my
Okay.
own kids? Why was
Stay
I not a
with me.
teacher?
Stay with me. Think about it. If you had a little thing that you were doing at the public library, a little story hour, a little puppet thing, show, those kids all have moms. Half of those moms are single.
Yeah, I think I avoid things like that because I tend to push myself away from what I know makes me happy. Like, if I do it and I'm talking to these kids, I'll be like, why wasn't I doing this for 30 years? Why didn't I have my own kids? Like, it
Okay,
just
so
it
Jay and
scares
I
me,
should
so I
be
just try to stay.
collecting big time for being your therapist today. In addition to being guests on this
Yes.
show, we have just put our fingers on your problem. You're afraid
Yeah,
to
and
be
I think that's why I
happy.
broke up with all the girls too. Yeah, every girl I was so in love with, and I pushed it away because I was like, that can't be right. And then even when I broke up with sort of one of my girlfriends, I literally started having stomach pains. I was in the hospital in the emergency room,
no.
and I did all these tests, colonoscopy, endoscopy, and the gastroenterologist is like, there's nothing wrong with you. Like, you just stop stressing. And I realized now that was my body saying, no, why are you breaking up with this woman? She wants to have
Right.
kids. She's makes you so happy. And I pushed myself away, and I don't understand. Even my very first girlfriend when I was 18, I said, let's break up. She's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, she still, to this day, is the best woman I've ever known, and I had no other options. There was no other reason. I was so in love, and I did it to hurt myself. I'm like, why would I deliberately hurt myself? And now I realize that's what I've been doing for my entire life, breaking up with these amazing women that I
So
love
can
so
you-
much, pushing them
Can you
away, even though
change
it makes
that? Can you change that? What would prevent you from changing that?
I mean, it might be that there's just no more options. Like, I don't know. I mean, I keep thinking, oh, why can't I just meet one more woman? It's like, really? You had dozens. Like, what the hell is wrong with you that now you want the woman? Like, I don't know.
Okay, the question
Right.
is, will you do the same thing when the next fabulous woman comes along? Will you refuse to be happy in the same way that you have in the
That's
past?
what my dad keeps saying. What would be different now? Are you going to do the same thing if you meet a woman? I'm like, I don't
Right.
think so. I've got to believe I'm not that stupid. Because now I even
Well,
realize how
Jay
long
and
it
I,
takes to
Jay
get to
and I
know
would
someone. It
like
takes you
to
3 years.
believe, we would like to believe that you're not that stupid. We want that.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Look.
You have the genius in your name.
Yeah, well, it's kind of trying to manifest it. I was
Yeah.
thinking of calling Spark the man with great hair, but that's a bit long.
Right.
But how don't you like our
Yeah, no.
idea? I'm co-opting Jay here. Jay and I have this
I was
idea about
so
you having a story hour
oh, yo,
or
the
a show or whatever, and
yes.
meeting all the chicks that
Yeah.
way.
I like it. I like it. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was that movie with Hugh Grant where he's like, "Oh, single women, that's the place to be." But even because I mean, even aside from that, because I don't want to be like, "Oh, it's because I'm here to meet women." Like, I can't. I don't want to make that the goal. But
It's
yeah, even help
not
the kids.
the goal,
I just makes me so. No, it's not. It would
but
be as like a side, even just to be around people. Yeah. I
it's
mean,
a
I like women
lovely
anyways, like as my
side
friends.
benefit. It's really way better than Tinder, don't you think?
Yeah, no, the people would be better people. Like, there's nothing good online. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would just have to get over the mental hump that, if I love it, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this my whole life? Or, oh, their kids are like, this guy's 50. Like, why didn't I? I would have rather been the 22-year-old kid reading to this, like, But,
Well, see,
but what am I going to do?
I think that's some there's some quality that people in the 50 can give that the 20 years old can't give.
Yeah, it's true. I'm a grown up, and I don't know. I mean,
And-
I think to
and life
kids, anyways,
experience.
like after if you're older than 20, you're an old person. They don't really know the difference. I wouldn't have known that. I wasn't thinking, oh, is this guy 30 or 50 or 60? I didn't know how old my grandparents were. They're just people. It's not like they're thinking I'm their age. I'm a grown up. Who cares? Although I was thinking of working at a summer camp, and like a couple of years ago, and the woman, I was like, "Am I too old?" She's like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, "Do the kids like the older people?" And she's like, "They call us the old people or whatever, but we're still there." And I think back because today I was thinking like, how old were my teachers in grade 8? I think my gym teacher had white hair and stuff. Like, at the time I wasn't like, oh, they're too old to do anything. It's like they're the teacher, like So
Hey,
I just need
Sparky,
to.
you think of more reasons faster why not than anybody I've ever met in my life. Do you realize how
Yeah,
much why
you're
not
right.
you've done in the last few minutes?
It really comes down to. I mean, you did point it out. Like, this is the problem. Like, I know, like, saying reading to kids at a library would make me so happy to just make the kids happy, to feel that joy, to be creative. It
Yeah.
makes me sick to my stomach to think of doing it because I'm like, I would regret not having done it forever. I don't know what is this a
Because
common,
you've
like,
got
is this a disease to
something
not to
against
push yourself?
happy. Because you've got a problem
Why?
with
How could that
happy.
be? I have
How
pushed
indeed?
myself away from everything that's ever made me happy. The women I
Yeah.
loved, the jobs I loved. I said I
Yeah.
can't do this, and then
So
and
what
physically made
woman,
myself sick.
what
Why?
woman in her right mind would have anything to do with a guy who pushed away all of his happiness? That's crazy. What a woman wants is a guy who's happy.
Yeah, anybody wants
Yeah,
to be
and also,
around. Happy.
I think I heard this somewhere like women or human in general love the other person that have a huge passions. So like if you have passions about reading storybooks to kids, you will attract like women that love your passions, and you wouldn't push her away because you both would probably share the same passions.
I've always thought like that's what makes people interesting. Like I want to be with someone who just likes whatever it is, jazz or woodworking or like just something. It doesn't matter what it is. Like it excites me to meet someone that they really love gardening. Like whatever. It's like, oh, I love that you're
Okay.
passionate about something. I
So
wanna,
here is your homework. Here's your homework. Are you ready? You need to
Yes.
do whatever work you need to do on yourself to figure out what you have against being happy. Because everything that you've said adds up to you cannot deal with being happy. And it's clear that you can't be a parent, you can't be a partner, you can't be anything in life to anybody else if you cannot make yourself happy in some way. So when we get together again very soon, I'm going to want to hear how you have solved the problem of pushing happiness away.
How? I mean, can a therapist do that? Like Tony
Yes,
Robbins?
that's what
Like, what would
therapists do. That's what they do.
There better be an answer to this one because this is the
There-
key. This is it. Like I was even thinking today,
It
oh,
is.
like what if I just settled down right now and did it? I'd be so happy. But I'm like, oh, I can't. Like what?
Okay, so you need to find, although the therapists are all like double and triple booked because of the pandemic, but you need to find one
Yeah.
because you don't even need a great therapist. I could be your therapist. I mean, this is not that complex. You know what your problem is. Your problem is
Yeah, I just don't know.
you don't think you deserve to be happy. That's your problem.
It scares me. Here's the thing: like if I look at a beautiful field, like just like a concave kind of like in the Middle Ages, you'd like have it with a river. And like if I picture such a beautiful thing, I can't even look at it. It makes me sick because it's too beautiful, and it makes me sad that I won't see it one day. So I just stay in the city in places I don't want because I'm terrified to be like in a small, beautiful town. Like my girlfriend, she lived in a small town, and we would have made movies together and all this stuff. We made a puppet movie together, and I'm like, I pushed myself away because it would be unbearable to maybe because I was afraid I would die one day and have to leave it. So I'm just like, I'm going to make my life miserable so that if I die, I don't care. I think that's what it is.
Okay, I've got it.
I feel like
Sparky.
you have a self-inflicted.
Okay, I want
It's
you to
all
listen to me.
self-inflicted. Yeah.
I want you to listen to me for just a minute.
Yeah. All right.
I think a way that you could get there pretty quickly is with mushroom therapy.
Jesus.
Mushroom
Somebody
therapy.
was talking
I heard
about that
wonders.
recently. What was that,
Yes.
Jay?
I heard wonders about mushroom therapy. Like they actually works.
Yeah.
It does work.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's not. Yeah. What? Like take this hallucinogenic, and then it'll be like, oh, I understand
No.
life now, kind of thing.
No, it's
You would
supposed to be
need to
certain
work.
mushroom, right? If I'm
You
not
would
mistaken.
need to work with a therapist, but one of the things that it does is it kind of short circuits a lot of years of therapy and gets right to, oh, that's what it looks like. That's what it feels like. It takes you to a different place chemically, and it's very effective for a lot of people. And I'm thinking, in your case, with your particular problem, that might be something that you should explore.
Maybe, but let's say like right now I decide, all right, screw it, I get it, I'm gonna do everything. I'm gonna pick a woman, I'm gonna get her pregnant, I'm gonna read stories to kids in the meantime until my kids are old enough.
Okay, wait,
you-
stop. You don't pick a woman and then get her pregnant. That's not how we do this.
Yeah, you have to ask for consent.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No. I just mean like if I was just trying to be shorthand for if I did everything that I know I wanted. I guess would that make me happy, or would I be like, why didn't I do this 30 years ago?
You don't know how
now
to
I'm just
be
gonna be-
happy. You don't understand happiness.
And also, why do you have to ask yourself, like, why didn't I do that 30 years ago? I mean, it's live the present, right? Like, live in the present.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, there's no.
If you're
And,
happy right now, you're happy.
yeah, and I've even got a lot of friends who are divorced now, and I mean they've got their grown kids, so there's that blessing. But you never know if you'd still be married or whatever. I mean, I know I would have, but yeah, I'm gonna stop. I mean, there's no point. There's no point in bitching about the past because you can't change it. Just enjoy today and do your thing. And like my friend who got married at 46 or whatever, just be like, hey, I get it now. Like George Clooney, 53. Hey, this is now okay. I had my fun or not. Or even James, Jay's podcast guy, like his whole thing is I lost money, I gained money, I lost money, I had a wife, I lost a wife. Like you just keep bouncing back and you learn. And the thing is, like, even this podcast, I enjoy doing this. This technically wasn't possible even 5 years ago for three of us to be on camera doing this. Like, it wasn't a thing. So I can't beat myself. Why didn't 30 years ago I have a podcast? Because that's not a thing. Because you did your radio show on a tape deck that nobody ever heard. So it's like I feel like, of course, I should have known all of this 30 years ago, but there was no Google. Like, it's like I couldn't have figured out anything. So it's like maybe just now life is about learning, and today I learned, and I can move on from that, and you just, because that's the thing. Like I even look at Chadwick Boseman, who was Black Panther. It's like 44, movie superhero, great life, and dies of cancer. So even if you're like have the perfect life, you don't know what's going to happen. So just be like,
nobody has the perfect life. Nobody.
Yeah, I don't know if that makes me happier or sadder.
Well, it's a place to start because
I
you understand that it's not about perfection and that nobody has a perfect life. It's just about getting to a place that maybe feels better than the place where you are now. That's possible, and a lot of people.
And that's been
do
my
that.
thing too. The fear of decisions. Yeah, like I wrote a movie screenplay about this that won an award, but I never did anything with it. It was about Mr. Indecision, where it's like, a guy couldn't, and it's me. Anyways, I bought couches and I returned them. Like I never had I kept trying to figure what's the perfect couch for my apartment, and I just lived for 20 years without a couch because I was like, what's the perfect? But it would have been nice just to have one. There's no perfect girlfriend. You're not going to date 3 billion women until you find the best one. It's like, it's all fine. It's like, it's just, if it's good, it's good. And I went to therapy for a year to try to get over the girl that I'd broken up with. And that's what the therapist said. Like our exercise was, I said, I want to be able to just order food off the menu and not sit there like freaking out for an hour. And he's like, try ordering something, just whatever it is, just pick it. And you realize it doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good. You'll never know if it was the best or not. And by the next time you'll be on to another meal anyways. And that was always my fear. It's like, if I pick this woman, that's my life. It's set out, and it's like I felt like I was dying. It's like, well, that's it. You're married to this woman forever. Like, you've closed off all possibilities. But even Hugh Jackman got married to his true love. He could have married lots of different women. You got to pick someone, or you get nothing, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to be someone you love, though.
Oh, yeah, but I did. I had people I loved so much. I was so blessed that the first girl I kissed was so amazing. But I also know a woman my age who's like, I didn't meet the right guy. I never wanted to have kids, and she's just having fun and going to resorts and stuff. So I want to get that mentality to feel like, hey, I'm fun guy, and you know what? Because that's what people want to be around too. Like, I wouldn't want to be around me. Like depressed person or whatever. You want to be around somebody who's positive and makes you feel. That's why people follow Dean Graziosi or Tony Robbins or Gary Vee, because they're positive. If they were sitting there going, if I screwed up my life, who would want to watch that, right?
Yeah, and they also have a passions that they really go for it.
Yeah.
So like people are attracted to someone that have like a huge passion that just like, yes, this is the thing.
But you think like this podcast, the fact that we're doing this is kind of a passion, like, as much as I'm complaining and I'm amping up the neuroses, like I'm doing it. I'm not letting sadness stop me. I'm saying I'm doing this darn podcast. I'm going to keep moving forward, and hopefully it entertains people or it teaches them something. I think that's good, right? That's a passion, right?
Yeah, this whole podcast, this whole time has been lessons.
Yeah,
by the goddess.
Yeah, we got our goddess. Who knew? And I didn't know. I didn't know what we were going to hear from Lynne. I'd never talked to Jay before, but you just try it. Like James says, just do experiments, and boom, she's been spitting knowledge or throwing knowledge bombs or whatever the kids say. We got our own personal goddess here. This is very exciting. So yeah, now my podcast is
the coolness of podcasting is that it's all a surprise. And that there's no one standing over you, telling you what to do, telling you what to say or not to say. And every time the screen opens up and it's a person, it's somebody you had no idea, right? It's somebody different, new, and you will learn things that you didn't know existed. And what fun.
Yeah,
it's
and
huge.
You're listening to conversations. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I used to always want to be a radio show host. I made little shows with my cassette tape, and I did host talk radio in Toronto for a while. But that's a different format. Even hosting a morning show would be like, okay, now we're at a commercial, now we're making a joke. Right. Like until this existed, you couldn't just record a conversation for an hour and a half and then put it out to the world. Right. So again, as much as I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this? It's like I've done what I could when I could. I hosted community cable shows when I was 20. I did improv. I sent out my VHS tapes to auditions, whatever. But now I can sit in my room and do this and broadcast to the world, and who knows? And the fact that now I've got two of you here, maybe Jay's audience will hear it, maybe Lynn's audience. Now we've tripled the reach of it, and it's exciting. And that kind of thing makes me feel good too. Like it's like
I do need to pitch my book. I need to pitch my book. Can I pitch my book?
All right, pitch your book, and then we can let you go, and then and just every week we'll meet and give me a therapy session, and Jay's
there you go.
Contractually required.
And we will not charge you a great deal more than the top therapists in the city. We'll be reasonable.
That's
won't
fine. And you know what? I should get like BetterHelp.com to be a sponsor or something, because it's like
there you
basically
go.
Everybody will be like, God, I feel like I need therapy after this. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pitch my book.
Pitch your book.
Because it's about happiness, and it's called Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them. And it's about eating joyfully and inexpensively and beautifully. And I highly recommend it. I worked real hard on it to make it pretty and make it read well. And you can get it on Amazon.
All right.
In hardback or paperback, or download it. or you can go to your independent bookseller and ask them for it, and they will order it for you.
All right. Well, go to your little Meg Ryan owns a bookstore thing, or I will add it to my recommended book list, my podcast guest book list at amazon.com/shop/spark the genius, because I'm an Amazon influencer. And there we go. And then
you
and
know,
then
say
we
it,
could do a book club.
wouldn't Brownies for Breakfast be a great screenplay name? That's a good name for a Meg Ryan type.
Yeah. Maybe
So
maybe
it's
she's like maybe she's like a brownie cooker. That's her little passion. She has a little brownie store, and when's she gonna meet a guy? And then some guy comes in for a brownie one day, or the rich man is limo, and he breaks down in the small town, and she gives him brownies, and he's like, I gotta go back to my rich wife or my rich girlfriend, and then but he falls in love with brownie girl.
And then
All he
and
wants
then
is
there has to be one scene where she has to be like sit in the she just walk to the cab and just say, I want to go home, and then the cab would just start driving even though she didn't mention where the home is.
Oh yeah, is that the cliche that bothers you, Jay? That the home, Jay, and they know exactly where. Although Uber would now, it doesn't work anymore because Uber would know where you live. That's how it works.
Also, Brownies for Breakfast would be a great name for a
Yeah, and they'd be like, "Hey, candy!" It's like, no, kids, healthy brownies. I guess that's the point of the book. These are obviously healthy brownies. You're not saying just eat some chocolate and sugar.
They're very
And
healthy
also
brownies.
a great podcast name. A great podcast name.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to switch my podcast name. It'll be Brownies for Breakfast, or maybe
Yes.
Maybe I'll
the
tell
three
you
of
if
us
you
will be
use the
hosting Brownies.
name, if you steal that name for a podcast and murder you.
Are you gonna turn that into a podcast, Lynn?
Are you going to do the Brownies for
Maybe.
Breakfast? Is
I
that what you're
might have
asking? The
to.
Brownies for
I
Breakfast
think
podcast? Yeah.
I think you should. I mean,
I want
just
you to
talk
do
about
the
healthy
screenplay.
eating.
Yeah,
Yes.
play because I think it's a natural for a screenplay. The
Yeah.
kids show is fine, but let me do the podcast. Okay.
All right, you can do the podcast, and
Thank
Jay
you.
can be your producer. Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not? That's the thing. Anybody could do it could be any. You
Yes.
could do it from your phone. You could record yourself talking for 5 minutes a week, and just be like, "Hey, it's the Brownies for Breakfast podcast," and it could be you spitting knowledge about goddess life, or goddess knowledge, or it can be you giving recipe of the day or whatever. Because you're obviously good at whipping idiots like me and Jay into shape, and giving us a pep talk. Like you're our Tony Robbins. So
Yeah, I think.
why not?
Okay, but I don't know. What I don't know is if any of this is going to stick with you, knuckleheads. I mean, in a week, will you remember any of this? Come on.
I probably not. But maybe. I mean, I'm trying so hard. Like some of it's beyond your control, right? It's like I want a woman. It's like, well, you can't. I mean, I could. Although
None of it
I don't know. But
beyond your control. No, none of it.
all right.
It's
I'm just. You
all
know what?
in control.
Even as I talk to you, it makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach to think. Yes, okay, I could do that. I could just decide.
You're not
to
the
get a
first man
family.
I'm upsetting their stomach, but by the way, go on.
No, it's because the thought of being happy. It's like it just comes back to it. It's like, oh my God, it's gonna make me wish. Why didn't I do this? Like I finally feel comfortable and happy, and I went through 50 years of being miserable, doing it to myself, hurting I even as a kid, when my parents would be like, "Oh, we're in Florida, we're going for ice cream," like, "No, I'm not going," and then I would write in my diary pages about how upset I was that I deliberately didn't go just to feel myself pain. Like I don't understand. Why? And if I discover why, it'll be like, oh my God, I wasted half my life causing
Okay, this
myself
is
pain.
this is a screen. Maybe Jay needs to write this one. Who was terrified of happiness. And we go back to his childhood, and we see him at the front of Disney World just panicking. And so we understand right away that the kid, and then we follow him into his life. Okay, is this a Jim Carrey movie, or who is this? And then at the end, of course, we hope that he finds happiness. But Jay, you're going to have to figure out how that is. How does the screenplay turn out?
I mean, I'm not a good screenplay writer, but I definitely can see it being a screenplay. Yeah, because I'm not a good writer. I'm
So
a
you're going to have to write your own
yeah, it's kind of a
screenplay.
stocky. Yes.
I did write one. I went to college in my late 30s and took a screenwriting program and entered my first draft into a contest in LA, and it wound up winning the whole contest out of hundreds of people, and a producer gave me all these notes in New York, and I was like, I don't know. And I was just like, I'm too depressed, I'm too alone, I don't want to sit down and work on this more. And I messaged him recently, like 10 years later. He's like, I don't even do comedies anymore. Who is the like what? Like I and so I threw that away. I spent a year writing this screenplay about a guy who can't make decisions, and then I wouldn't sit down to make notes because I was like, oh, I don't want to spend a month working on that, but it could have changed my life. But I don't
Well,
want
the
to be
thing is, well, I mean, if maybe there's a reason. Maybe if you do it right now, you might have more resources to do it better.
yeah.
Who knows?
I have to
You know?
think, and this is just maybe one little quick technique I thought of to make myself feel better. Like, because I asked my friend Dennis, who I went to university with, and he knows the girl I'm talking about that I loved and whatever. And he said, because I was like, why did I break up with her when I was 18? It's like, you were 18, you didn't know any better. You know, like you're, and maybe it's true. Like at the time, I'm like, oh, I got the whole life ahead of me. There's gonna be lots of women. Like you just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know. And it's like you make your best decisions at the time. You're like, I'm 25. I guess I'll do advertising. I don't know. I mean, of course, I can look back now and go, oh, I wish I'd taken this other fork, or maybe that Jen was the best girl for me, or whatever. Um, but you don't know. You can't. You don't know at the time. You're like, so you. Of course, 2020's hindsight, whatever the expression is 20. Hindsight is 2020. But maybe now it's like, well, I just know what I know. And again, like if even George Clooney was like, "Ooh," and took until 53 to be like, wait, let's settle down." Then, maybe we're just enjoying our lives, and you're like, "Okay, well, maybe I'm 49 now, but I kind of figured it out." And hey, like even if I have a good weekend with someone, like it doesn't have to have been I gave away 30 years of something. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm cured. I'm happy now. We did it.
I mean, I gotta say, you're really obsessed with Josh Clooney for some reason.
Just because he's the one example. He was always the one example I could think of that, well, he's single, and he seems to be having fun, and he's older than me. So I kept using him as like, because nobody else, like everybody else is married with kids. I was like, I need an example of one person who's still single and enjoying life, and he was the one person I could think of. And then I was googling, when did he have kids? Have I screwed it up? It's like, no, 53 at the first one. So it gives me. And I think Steve Martin had his first at 67, but none of that's ideal. But everybody's got it. I mean, you can't change the past. That's the one thing I wish I could do. I
Right.
could be like, okay, I figured it out now. Can I go back and start again? But that doesn't seem to be possible.
Also, there's no manual to life. Like human were born without manual, so you will know what is right and what's wrong.
Yeah,
You
but
just
that's
have
the
to
thing. I wish
experience.
somebody gave you a manual and said, hey, 22, start. This is the right girl. Settle down. Have a normal life.
I mean, I felt like if people gave you a manual when you were born, then the life is not going to be exciting anymore.
Because
The
you
life
know
is going to
everything
be
to
play
do.
But
by play
also,
book, you know.
excuse me, the problem is not that you didn't have a manual. The problem is that happened, you would not have been happy because you were terrible. So you would have run the other way as fast as you what was happening. So the problem that needs a solution is why are you so afraid of happy? And that's the screenplay, is the boy that hated happy. That's the screenplay.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And maybe that's the way you cure yourself, is you write that screenplay, which is going to tell you what happened with that kid that made him so terrified of happiness.
Yeah, I I'll try. It scares me because I know writing a screenplay. Well, you could do it in a weekend, I guess, but it could also take a couple of
Yes, you
years, and
could,
I'll be in my late.
but you could write it in a week.
I mean, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Rocky was written in a weekend, I think, and you just do it, and you're like, bash it out. And then now I realize too. We were talking about families. I was gonna say like, oh, you can't do work if you're raising family. No, it's the opposite. If I had the comfort. Like the only time I've been able to write is when I've been with one of the girlfriends and be like, okay, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. I have the comfort knowing I've got this woman that's covered off, and now I can sit and write. I don't feel alone. I've got her with me. I can say, hey kids, hey wife, I'm going to be working on my screenplay. We'll meet for dinner after. But the awful loneliness of not having that makes it impossible to write the screenplay because I'm like, I can't sit here alone. I
Isn't
feel
it
like life
interesting
is passing me by.
that you have assumed that your family situation that you would be able to just excuse yourself and
Yeah, because in this scenario, I'm a billionaire, and the
I
kids are
see.
with the nanny for a bit. I don't know.
Right. You
Yeah,
didn't
you're
have
I
to be
right.
a
see.
billionaire.
That's the thing. But yeah, of course, it's all this fantastical. Like maybe in this scenario, I wouldn't have time to do this because the wife would be like, "No, you go to the factory and make some money. What are you doing on your screenplay? We're raising 3 kids. We're going to lose the farm. Like, who knows, right?" So there's no point in idealizing it all.
Right.
I'll just think of it like, hey, you know what? I'm younger than George Clooney was. I got time. But anything's got time. Like, time for what? Like, we're all here right now. Some people didn't make it through the pandemic. I'm still here. Whatever. Just let's. I get to talk to people like you every day, and if I do this every day, talking to somebody, that'll give me a purpose, and people will listen. And hey, check. That's a great thing, and that's more than a lot of people are doing, and maybe I'm helping people. And like, what more could life be other than the other things? And I'll do that too, and just keep building my knowledge and doing what I can and trying to be positive. I don't know, because maybe in 20 years I'll look back and go, I was so young at 49. Like, what was I thinking? Why didn't I settle down or whatever? Like, maybe at 100 I'll be like, wait a minute, 49 I was like, oh, I'm too old to do anything. Like, what? I'm sure Betty White was still partying it up, like, until recently. I don't know.
Yep. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You
All
don't even
right.
have to write a screenplay. You could just write and the story would come
That's
out
true.
and then you would understand it.
Yeah, I mean, I could make it a children's story. I could make it a short story and put it on Amazon. The man who wasn't happy, the boy. I could draw a little cartoon of it. Um,
That would
you
be
know,
fun.
yeah. Why
The
not? Why?
boy
That's the thing.
who was
happy.
I've been thinking I want to do a daily comic strip too. Like I've always done that since I was a kid, like drawing. And on my cable show, I would draw cartoons of things. And like, why not make that part? Like I keep wondering, like, what's my Instagram? Like, is it just the podcast or stand-up comedy? But it could be little bits of everything. I noticed yesterday that Gary Vee does little cartoons and stuff. So
Yeah.
why not finally do my daily comic strip called Spark the Genius, but
Yeah.
it's a little bald grown up Charlie Brown, and it's always trying to figure it out. And it's just because if you can turn your angst into art, like the way Tony Robbins always says, Dean Graziosi says, turn your mess into your message. Like whatever your problem is, oh, I was abused or whatever, then now you're helping other people who are abused. Like whatever your issue is,
make it
and if my issue is like,
make it art.
make it what make it art. Yeah, yeah, exactly. And then I'll feel like, you know what? It was worth it to go through. It's like now it's making other people happy. I'm spreading this message around the world. Everybody gets their daily cartoon. Everybody gets their daily podcast.
And you will learn as you do it. It will instruct you. It will teach you as you do it.
Yeah,
Because
like when I
you
was
have the knowledge somewhere.
oh, I took psychology. I went through therapy. I know. I know. uh, I know now. I wish I'd known earlier. But like even in the comic strip, there's always like a gen or a house plant because now I feel like it's cheating to have a gen because it's like I don't have a gen anymore. Um, but it's always me saying something stupid and then Jen be like my best the middle gen, there was a lot of gens. The middle one was like so sarcastic and I'd be like saying something neurotic. She'd be like, stop with the nonsense. And I'm like, I just want somebody like that to just slap me down and say you're being neurotic, stop it. And then I'm like, okay, that's all I want. But you
Okay,
gotta make yourself happy
as
first.
Here as goddess
today,
Yeah, yes.
and grant you
your wish,
and
what you want, but your task,
first
yourself,
understand that you are of what you want. And then it will immediately walk in the door.
I can promise you that.
I have spoken.
All right. And do you think at my age, having been my age before, I could still be happy? It's not like too late. It's not just like, oh, like I'm just gonna wallow in wishing I was in university again. Yeah.
My age,
I could be happy.
I don't know. Tell me. I can't even be happy at my age, so I don't know. But are you happy?
What do you think?
Do you have fun?
What do you think? Do I
You
look
seem
happy?
to.
Do I sound
You
happy?
might be.
I mean, yeah,
You do. You might be a good actress.
She
but-
just launched. She just launched a book. That must be really happy feeling.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, well, what the hell am I doing? You've got a book. You got your brownies book. And even just seeing somebody doing that, like, I mean, that's the thing. If you're actually producing things, I mean, that you have to be, I think, happy or to do it. Otherwise, you just be like, oh, there's no point in anything. I'm not doing anything. So, yeah.
Well,
All right. That's good.
I am happy. I am happy. And I am happier than I've ever been in my life.
The older I get,
The happier. And statistically, the reason that
people
over 70 happier.
you get happier.
Yeah. You may be. It's
So
funny
there
you
you
mentioned the statistics because when I was turning 47, I was just rock bottom, depressed. Oh my God, why didn't I have kids? And I Googled what age are people like most miserable or something. And I thought it was, the search showed up and I thought it was one of those things where they just fill in the information based on what they know about you. Like it would have been whatever age I was. But I'm like, no, it's a real study that showed at the age 47.2 is like the lowest point for everyone. And then it sort of goes up. And I'm like, it's like, it
It's a
was
hard
like
time.
accurate to the minute. Yeah. Because it's sort of the point. I think it might be different if you're like in the place you think you should be. If you're like now you have grandkids and it's like, but then I was googling it and all men my age were like freaking out, the depression, like if they hadn't had kids and they realized it passed them by, and I was like, oh yeah, and it's like I've done everything in my life, like I've pushed myself like to the point where it's like I've ruined everything. I'll keep breaking up with people and I'll keep leaving jobs or and it's
Okay.
like I keep doing it to myself. Anyways, we're
on
happy
that
again.
note,
Yes.
I have to go because I
Yeah,
have
an hour
happiness
and a half is
spread elsewhere.
Yeah, you
Um,
got things to do, right? All right. Well, Jay and I are just going to keep doing this for a few more hours.
No,
No,
I
I'm just kidding. I got stuff to. I'm just kidding. I
I have
appreciate
to,
it.
my
but-
dog. I have to walk my dog.
Oh, I wish I had a dog too. I was petting the dog the other day, and the woman's like, "Why don't you have a dog?" I'm like, "Because it would make me happy, probably." I don't know. All right. Well, thank
okay,
you very
that's
much for
gonna
being
go
on
in-
Spark the
That's
Gene.
going to go into your strip right there. That's going to go in your strip.
Ooh, that's good.
Okay.
I'll draw that. All right.
Yes, that's your assignment. Jay, wonderful talking with you, meeting you.
Nice to meet
Sparky?
you too.
Check in,
Thank
give
you.
me a progress report.
Charging you a dime.
This whole first thing is gratis. It's
my gift
to you.
That's. I
Make sure
appreciate
everyone
that.
go get the book.
I
though.
charge $1,000 for being on my podcast, so you'll get my invoice. But no, I'm just
Okay,
kidding. I'm just
so-
kidding. Just kidding.
So we're trading that.
All right. Have fun. Yeah.
All right. I'll see you guys.
All right, bye.
See ya.
All right, so she's gone, and go walk your
yeah.
dog, Jay. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks for inviting. I thought Rena's gonna come on.
Yeah, I know. She never messaged me back, so I guess I'll reach her, and we'll have to do another thing with her.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I've got to go.
Yeah.
It's past my dog's walking time, but
All right.
I will talk to you soon.
All right.
Thanks for inviting me.
Bye. Thanks.
All right, see ya. Bye bye.